A former casino CEO just revealed something that could save you thousands of dollars, and the gambling industry definitely doesn't want this information going public. These are the most played slot machines in America, and popular doesn't mean player-friendly. Machine number 1. Wheel of Fortune. Walk into any casino in this country and you'll hear it. That distinctive clicking sound of the wheel, the bright lights, the massive top box that towers over every other game on the floor. This is the most recognizable slot machine ever created. And according to the CEO I interviewed, that's exactly the problem. He told me about a woman named Patricia who played Wheel of Fortune exclusively for 2 solid years. She had a routine, came in every Friday afternoon, sat at the same machine near the casino entrance, played quarters for exactly 4 hours. The casino tracked everything, and when the CEO reviewed her account, the numbers told a devastating story. The quarter denomination version of Wheel of Fortune typically runs between 88 and 90% RTP according to internal data, which sounds almost reasonable until you understand what you're actually chasing. That wheel bonus that everyone wants, the feature that makes the machine famous, triggers roughly once every 250 to 300 spins on average. Patricia would hit it maybe once per session if she was lucky, win anywhere from $20 to $200, and she'd leave feeling like she had a good day. But the base game was bleeding her dry between those bonuses. The CEO explained something crucial about this machine. It generates more revenue per square foot than almost any other slot on the casino floor. And the reason isn't complicated. That wheel creates memories. Players remember the excitement of watching it spin, the anticipation, the occasional decent payout, and those memorable moments completely overshadow the steady, consistent losses happening spin after spin in the base game. The psychology is perfect, he said. Give them something visual and exciting just often enough to keep them coming back. And if you think that's popular, machine number 2 is in literally every casino in America. I'm talking about Buffalo, the original game that started an entire franchise. The CEO revealed something fascinating about this one. Their internal tracking systems showed players would walk past 50 different machines specifically to find a Buffalo game. They'd search the entire casino floor, and when they found it, they'd wait for a seat to open up rather than play something else. That kind of loyalty is extremely rare in gambling, and the casino knew exactly how to exploit it. The base game RTP sits around 87%, which already puts it below Wheel of Fortune. But here's where Buffalo gets really nasty. The volatility profile is extreme, meaning you can burn through money terrifyingly fast waiting for that free spin bonus to trigger. And it does trigger frequently enough to keep you hooked, roughly every 100 to 150 spins according to the data the CEO shared. That sounds reasonable until you see what happens next. Their internal metrics revealed that 78% of those free spin bonuses paid less than 50 times the triggering bet. The CEO described a documented case that stuck with him. A player hit the free spins feature 6 separate times in a single session. 6 times he watched those buffalo symbols stampede across the screen. 6 times he got that rush of excitement, and every single bonus paid between 15 and 40 times his bet. He left that day down $800, but if you'd asked him how his session went, he would have said it was pretty good because he hit the feature 6 times. The retriggers during free spins create these almost one big memories that your brain holds onto. You remember getting close to a massive hit, and that near-miss feeling is sometimes more powerful than an actual win. The CEO admitted something that should make every Buffalo player furious. They positioned these machines in high-traffic areas specifically because players sought them out. They didn't need to advertise Buffalo or give it premium placement to attract attention. Players did the marketing for them, walking through the entire casino looking for these games, and management simply made sure they were easy to find. Before we continue, I need you to subscribe and let me know in the comments. Have you ever walked across a casino just to find a specific machine? Because that behavior is exactly what the industry counts on. Now, machine number 3 is where things get really interesting, because this is when the CEO started feeling guilty. Lightning Link changed everything when it hit casino floors. The hold and spin phenomenon that this game pioneered became a template for hundreds of machines that came after it. During our interview, the CEO admitted they knew the coin collection mechanics were basically video game psychology applied to gambling. They understood exactly what they were doing. He told me about a woman the surveillance team nicknamed Lightning Lady. Her real name was Jennifer, and she came in every Tuesday and Thursday for 14 months straight. Always the same machines, always Lightning Link, and the casino tracked every single session. The base game RTP runs approximately 86 to 88%, but the real problem isn't even the return to player percentage. It's the relationship between how often the bonus triggers and what it actually pays. According to internal metrics the CEO shared, the hold and spin feature triggered on average every 120 to 140 spins. Sounds pretty good, right? Here's the math that makes it cruel. Of those bonus triggers, 82% paid between 10 and 30 times the bet. Let me calculate. You'd spend 140 spins worth of bets just to win back maybe 20 times your wager. Jennifer didn't understand this math. Nobody explained to her that the feature keeping her in that chair was designed to give back less than what it cost to trigger. But here's what really made the CEO uncomfortable: that grand jackpot displayed at the top of the machine, usually somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000, constantly visible, always tempting. Internal probability documents revealed it hits approximately once per 1.2 million spins. Jennifer played twice a week for over a year and never saw it, but she watched other players hit it 3 times during her sessions. Each collected coin during the hold and spin produces this satisfying sound and visual effect. Your brain interprets collecting those coins as progress, as winning, even when the math guarantees you're losing. The CEO told me they called it the almost jackpot machine internally. Everyone on the casino floor knew what they were really selling. Not the chance to win the grand, but the feeling of getting close to it. But here's where it gets even worse. Machine number 4 actually has a button that tricks you into betting more. Drums echoes through every casino with those persistent drum sounds that you can hear from 40 feet away. The CEO revealed something about the FUBAT jackpot feature that should make anyone who's played this game absolutely furious. Activating it requires 5 times your base bet, and their tracking data showed that 7% of Dancing Drums players activated FUBAT at least occasionally. Those players had loss rates 23% higher than players who didn't use the feature. He told me about a regular named Marcus who started playing 50 cents per spin. Within 2 months, Marcus was consistently betting $2.50 with FUBAT activated, and he genuinely believed he was making the smart play. The base RTP sits around 87 to 88%, but with FUBAT active, the overall return stays essentially the same while volatility increases dramatically. You're not buying better odds. You're just betting more money on the same terrible math, the CEO admitted they trained the CEO, floor staff to casually mention the FUBAT feature to players who weren't using it. Not pushy, just helpful suggestions. Hey, you might want to try the FUBAT feature. It activates the jackpots. Technically true, technically increases your chance, but the probability increase is marginal while your bet increases 500%. They documented one player who activated FUBAT for a 4-hour session and lost $1,400. The same play pattern without FUBAT would have resulted in approximately $600 in losses. Those jackpot symbols you're trying to collect appear more frequently with FUBAT active, giving the illusion of better chances, but the actual jackpot probability barely moves. And speaking of features that seem helpful but aren't, wait until you hear what the CEO said about machine number 5, DragonLink, machine number 5. If the CEO had to pick one machine that kept him up at night, this was it. He told me something that still gives me chills. After reviewing surveillance footage as part of routine security protocols, he noticed players on DragonLink exhibited trance-like states more frequently than on any other game in the casino. Something about this machine pulled people into a zone that genuinely disturbed him, and he started questioning things he'd been comfortable with for years. There's a player named David that the CEO references as the one that made him start questioning things. We'll come back to David's story, but first you need to understand what makes DragonLink so much worse than its cousin Lightning Link. The base RTP runs between 85 and 87%, immediately lower than Lightning Link, and the hold and spin feature triggers, slightly less frequently, roughly every 150 to 180 spins on average. But DragonLink added something Lightning Link didn't have in the same configuration: multiple progressive jackpots stacked on top of each other, displayed prominently, constantly visible, always climbing. The CEO shared internal data that most players never see. The mini jackpot hits approximately every 800 to 1,000 spins. The minor hits every 3,000 to 4,000 spins. The major hits every 15,000 to 20,000 spins. And the grand, the big one that everyone dreams about, operates on a probability model so remote that most individual players will never witness it on their own machine. David was a regular player who did something unusual. He calculated that he would need to hit the major jackpot just to break even on his yearly play. Not to profit, just to get back to zero. So he developed a strategy, or what he thought was a strategy. He played Dragon Link exclusively for 18 months, tracking his sessions, convinced that the major was due, that his time invested meant something in the probability equation. The CEO knows exactly how much David lost during those 18 months because player tracking cards record everything. $22,000 across 73 separate casino visits. And David finally did hit the major jackpot. The whole casino floor heard the celebration music, saw the lights, watched him collect his prize. $4,800. He'd spent $22,000 chasing a $4,800 jackpot because the machine convinced him he was close every single session. Here's what makes the psychology so insidious. Every single spin displays all four progressive jackpot amounts right there on the screen. Your brain maintains constant awareness of potential wins, and the CEO admitted those progressives were designed to be visible from 20 feet away for a reason. They positioned Dragon Link machines in pods specifically so players could watch other people's bonuses triggering, creating fear of missing out so powerful that players would join waiting lists for occupied machines rather than play something else. Now, if you think that's manipulative, machine number 6 has a feature that literally tricks your brain into thinking you won when you actually lost. Machine number 7, 88 fortunes, represents something the CEO calls losses disguised as wins. And when he explained how this works, I finally understood why so many players walk away from casinos genuinely confused about whether they won or lost. This machine pioneered a psychological trick that's now standard across the industry, celebrating wins as small as 2 or 3 times your bet with the exact same fanfare, the same sounds, the same visual excitement, as genuinely significant wins. The CEO admitted they reviewed gambling psychology research, showing that celebration sounds trigger dopamine responses, regardless of whether you actually profited on that spin. And 88 fortunes weaponized this neurological response more effectively than any machine that came before it. But there's another layer that makes this game particularly devastating. The gold symbol configuration works similarly to dancing drums. You can activate all gold symbols for 5 times your base bet, except 88 fortunes makes it feel mandatory in a way dancing drums doesn't quite achieve. The interface design, the constant visual presence of those gold symbols, the way bonuses and jackpots seem to favor maximum configuration, all of it pushes players toward that higher bet level without ever explicitly requiring it. The CEO shared data showing that 89% of 88 Fortunes players activated all gold symbols, one of the highest feature adoption rates they tracked across any game in the casino. There's a woman named Helen who casino hosts knew by name, played exclusively 88 Fortunes for 3 solid years, and her story captures everything wrong with this machine. Helen would call each small win a profit, celebrating $12 pays on $10 spins like she'd beaten the house. And she only counted a session as a loss when she physically ran out of money. She never calculated the actual math, never added up the bets versus the returns, because the constant celebration sounds convinced her emotional brain that she was doing fine. The CEO described a specific memory that haunts him. Watching security footage of Helen celebrating a 5 times win, genuinely happy, genuinely believing she was ahead, while the session tracker showed she was down $300. That cognitive disconnect between celebration and reality is precisely what 88 Fortunes engineers. The base RTP runs approximately 86 to 88%, but the celebration frequency makes the perceived RTP feel dramatically higher. Your memory records all those exciting moments, all those winning sounds, and completely discounts the steady mathematical extraction happening beneath the entertainment. And now we're getting to the final 2 machines, the ones the CEO said represent everything wrong with modern slot design, and machine number 8 is where he started using words like optimized extraction and scientific exploitation. Machine number 8, Lightning Cash, represents what the CEO calls the next generation of extraction technology. This is where he stopped thinking about slots as entertainment and started seeing them as sophisticated psychological machines engineered to optimize revenue extraction while maintaining the illusion of player-friendly design. If Lightning Link was successful through accidental psychology, Lightning Cash was scientifically optimized through deliberate testing and refinement. The fundamental difference sits in the multiple hold and spin variations built into a single game. each with different volatility profiles that keep players guessing and engaged far longer than consistent mechanics ever could. The base RTP runs between RTP 85 and 87%. Notice the trend? Newer machines consistently deliver lower returns, but the real innovation came from how they manipulated bonus trigger frequency. The CEO revealed they ran extensive testing across different markets, adjusting bonus frequencies and measuring player response. What they discovered changed how the entire industry approaches game design. Triggering the hold and spin feature every 100 spins kept players engaged measurably longer than triggering it every 150 spins, even when both configurations paid identical average amounts over extended play. The frequency of reward mattered more than the size of reward, so Lightning Cash was programmed to trigger bonuses constantly while paying smaller amounts per bonus. He told me about a woman named Carol who became a regular, specifically because she hit bonuses all the time on Lightning Cash. She'd tell friends about her lucky machine, text photos of her bonus screens, genuinely believe she'd found something special. The surveillance and player tracking data told a different story. Over 6 months of twice-weekly play, Carol hit approximately 180 bonuses, won more than 50 times her bet only 7 times, and lost $8,400 total. Her average loss per hour ran 15% higher than comparable players on Lightning Link, but she felt luckier because she triggered more bonuses. Every bonus trigger includes extended animation and sound design that makes each occurrence feel more significant than the math supports. The CEO admitted they programmed it to feel rewarding while extracting money faster, and that's when he knew he couldn't continue in the industry. Lightning Cash's success triggered a wave of frequent bonus low-pay designs across every major manufacturer. The profit data justified the approach. This single machine generated 34% more revenue per day than Lightning Link positioned in identical floor locations. And that brings us to the final machine, the one the CEO calls the future he hopes doesn't happen. Machine number 9, Buffalo Link, combines everything that works from the 2 biggest franchises in slot history. This represents the evolution of extraction. Buffalo's brand recognition and high volatility merged with Lightning Link's hold and spin psychology, and the CEO described it as what happens when you take everything that works and optimize it for maximum extraction. The base RTP sits between 85 and 87%, combining Buffalo's devastating volatility with coin collection mechanics that create double the psychological hooks. Players chase both free spins and hold and spin bonuses simultaneously, doubling the just one more spin triggers that keep people in chairs until their money disappears. This machine achieved the highest average time on device of any game the casino tracked. Players sat longer per session at Buffalo Link than any other slot on the entire floor, and the revenue numbers reflected that captured attention. The hold and spin triggers relatively frequently, roughly every 130 to 150 spins, while free spins appear less often, approximately every 200 to 250 spins. This creates a devastating pattern in player behavior. Internal data showed players would hit the hold and spin feature, win a moderate amount that felt significant, then continue playing specifically to trigger free spins, burning through their hold and spin winnings and additional bankroll chasing that second type of bonus. The CEO reviewed player tracking data for a woman named Michelle whose pattern exemplified everything wrong with this machine. Over 8 months, she averaged 4.5-hour sessions, hit hold and spin an average of 18 times per visit, triggered free spins 3 to 4 times per session, and lost an average of $640 every time she walked through the casino doors. Her player notes indicated she considered herself a winning player because she always hit bonuses. The cognitive disconnect between bonus frequency and actual mathematical loss reached levels the CEO had never seen in decades of industry experience. This is the machine that made him leave. Watching the data accumulate, understanding what they'd built, knowing the psychological mechanisms they'd engineered, he couldn't justify it anymore. Buffalo Link's success spawned imitators across every major manufacturer, multiple companies combining their popular franchises with hold and spin mechanics, and the CEO predicts machines will only become more sophisticated at maintaining engagement while increasing extraction rates. So there you have it, the 8 most played slots that drain players' wallets according to someone who spent years operating them for profit. Popularity doesn't mean player-friendly, it usually means the opposite. Notice the pattern across everything we discussed. Newer machines deliver lower RTPs, more sophisticated psychological manipulation, and higher revenue extraction, all while making players feel like they're winning more often. The house always wins, but modern machines win faster while creating the illusion that you're doing better than you actually are. Now you understand what industry insiders know. These machines are engineered specifically to keep you playing longer and losing more, using psychological mechanisms refined through millions of dollars in research and testing. You can still play these games. That choice remains yours. But now you make that choice with complete understanding of the math and psychology working against you every single spin. The CEO I interviewed left the industry because he couldn't reconcile the profit margins with the human impact. He wanted players to know the truth, wanted someone to explain what really happens behind those entertaining lights and sounds. Subscribe for more insider information that casinos don't want going public. Like this video if it opens your eyes to how these machines actually work. Comment and tell me which of these 8 machines you've played, whether you recognized your own behavior in any of these stories. And if you want to know which machines actually give you the best chance, the games casinos don't promote specifically because they're too player friendly, let me know in the comments and I'll make that video next. Stay informed, play smart if you choose to play at all, and remember that knowledge is your only real defense against the house edge. The math never changes, but understanding it changes everything.